The CEO mindset ain't just an Instagram page. It's the time we wake up. It's the way we lift weights. It's the podcast we pray to and the supplements we take. Not just the ice baths, but the Bitcoin trades. Not just the joyless existence, but its driving pain. Not just the slurs we use, but the women we hate. Not just the money, it's the division we make. Like how when I look in the mirror, I spit on my face. Cause I ain't a real man, that's what David Goggins says. Cause I got out of bed at 8 today and didn't put creatine in my fucking cornflakes. And I'm only 14, but Peterson showed me the way. Masculinity's confusing and I've been taking the lion's mane, but I don't feel like a lion, Mr. Tate. How do I speak to women without them walking away? Cause I keep telling them, the CEO mindset ain't just an Instagram page. It's about being a lone wolf, but sometimes I want to care for others, be together. I spoke to a mate of mine with an absent father and asked he wished his dad had just kept grinding harder. And he said he wished he turned up to a football game. Wished presence was the present that his father gave. Wished home wasn't just a word used in insurance claims, because the CEO mindset ain't just an Instagram page. It's the poison of my generation. It runs through our veins. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for life. But teach a man to hate himself. Now that's something you can monetize. Monetize that hate and keep him grinding till he thinks he's enough. Keep him grinding till that self-love grinds away. When I was a teenager was when Andrew Tate started gaining traction. I had multiple mental health problems and I was on different psychiatric medications. I was reading David Goggins' books. I was listening to Joe Rogan. We'd watched hundreds of hours of porn, all kinds of graphic videos, ISIS beheadings, things like that. I was doing all of these things. I was a part of the Manosphere. I very much was the target. When I realized my work was upsetting these people, it started getting a lot of hate online because men felt really attacked by the parliament. First I was like, yeah, if I've got them feeling attacked, and that means they're listening, that means they're watching, that means I'm changing their minds. And more I realized this divisiveness was just kind of pushing them down the rabbit hole that I was trying to pull them out from. I just wanted to speak about my experience. These people are vulnerable. The only way that we can help them is through empathy. So as much as I love that poem, as much as I think it encapsulates how I felt, I do kind of regret the reaction. I think I realized that all these people are speaking to men who feel insecure and perhaps weak in their masculinity. And for them to keep selling books, those people had to still feel insecure and weak. And when I realized that them actually making people feel better wasn't in their best interests, I think I realized in that moment they were sort of false prophets. I realized pretty quickly that I had no choice but to speak about it. I started writing more and more about feeling lost because I realized that it's become such a universal thing. We all feel very lost. And then I actually had a conversation with one of my mates where he was like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't feel like I've got anybody around me. I don't feel like I've got anything. I don't get what my purpose is. And I turned around and I was like, mate, we're sitting here playing video games on a Friday night and I'm feeling better about my week already. That's your purpose. I've got this mate Ben, and he reckons his life is purposeless, which is a shame because it is. I'm not kidding, if Ben left today, the world would keep spinning. Not much would change. To the world, Ben is pointless. It really gains very little from his existence. In fact, when you take into account carbon emissions, Ben is a bit of a nuisance. But to me, Ben being alive is a big win. He brightens up my day, puts a smile on my face, makes me feel better about whatever is in my way. I love Ben, and his importance is not something I could possibly understate. So when Ben told me his life was purposeless, I had to disagree and then look introspectively. How could Ben be so unaware of how much he means to me? I suppose a decent hypothesis, one I'm working on at the minute, is that I never told him. That could be it, in fact. It probably is for someone who couldn't understate Ben's importance. I don't often state it. So this time I thought I should, and I did. I told Ben I love him and he broke down in tears because a drop of water means nothing, but a million, a billion, all flowing. That's how dams break. That's how rivers become flooded. A drop of water means nothing, but when it drops from one man's eye into the arms of his brother, it becomes the beginning of something. A free-flowing system, a river of connection. I've got this mate Ben, and he reckons his life is purposeless, and I don't agree. I stop him and say, Ben, how could your life be purposeless when you mean so much to me? We speak a lot about the male loneliness problem, and I think that a lot of that comes from a lack of intimacy in friendships with men. Men themselves can solve the male loneliness problem by being greater friends to each other. Like, we've really disempowered ourselves here and made it sound like it's this unmanageable thing that we're all going through. And if we became better friends to each other, if we understood that our responsibility as a guy is to be there for the boys, you know, it would just be like that can solve it within itself. Flowers I wrote because I realised that if we can have stronger male relationships with each other, if we can be like kinder to the men in our lives, hopefully that kindness can be reciprocated. And now, like, every Father's Day, I get my dad flowers, or I'll get my mates flowers for their birthday. And it's just like this beautiful thing where they go like, oh, no one's ever got me flowers before. They say that men don't get their flowers till they're dead. A few petals to commemorate the beauty that was there, make up for a lifetime of neglect. I wonder if there is an afterlife, if they'll bring flowers to our funerals and we'll still feel that twinge of guilt for loving in that moment, making ourselves vulnerable. No matter how feminine or masculine, how big or how small, we're all going to the same place in the end. We're all a little bit tired and a little bit scared. So tell him you love him. Tell him today. Go to his house, pick up some flowers on the way. Lay them in his arms before you lay them on his grave. I always think of myself as this like broken kid, and realizing that's not me. I'm now someone who helps people. I'm now someone who helps people get over these things. Ultimately, that came down to community, building like wonderful relationships with people, having people in my life that completely changed that. And like just chatting to the boys and spending the day going around here makes me realize how much work I did to get out of that. It makes me like feel with hope for other people that they can do that as well. You know, no one's broken. We're not just boys. Like, we're all like kind of like ready to be men, you know?